Ta-da! Today is Chummy Day! So Chummy is a top 5. Top 5 means out of all my animals, he is one of the top 5 favorites. And as you can see by this amazing face, it's easy to see why. How cute is he? How gorgeous! Look at that tongue. I love him. Anybody know what Chummy is? Chummy is the Argentine Tegu, the largest of all the Tegu species. Tegus come from South America. This is the Argentine. There are several species, and Argentines get the largest. Now, right away, you're going to notice these big, fat, chubby cheeks. These cheeks mean he is a boy. When you are a male Tegu, you have these big, fat jowls. Those don't come right away at birth, but as they get older and mature, those start to develop. The older they are, the bigger they are, and the more the ladies like them. There have been studies that show Tegus that have the biggest jowls get the most females. Why is that? Well, it means he's older, he's stronger, he's smarter, he's been around. What better dad to pick for your babies? He's got all the experience and all the strength. Okay, so Chummy as an Argentine Tegu eats lots of different foods. They are so easy to feed. Now, what are his favorites? He likes chicken, he likes mice, he loves blackberries. Those are his probably 3 top favorites. I have another Argentine Tegu that we'll introduce later on, and he's got different favorites. Tegus, like all animals, are just like people. Some of us like some things, some of us like other things. We all have our own distinct personalities. So they are all omnivores. In the wild, in South America, these critters are kind of known as the fox. They'll go down into the hen house and they'll steal chicks, they'll steal eggs, they'll get in, they'll get out, they won't get caught. These are very intelligent reptiles. As reptiles go, they're not kind of known for all the smarts, even though they are. It's just kind of hard for humans to judge reptiles on intelligence because we judge them by how we think something should be smart. But the Tegu is seen as smart because they really can get a lot of stuff done. Now, Chummy is one of my favorites because of his intelligence and his personality and his big and his cool. But he's got a lot of cool stories behind him. Now, how did I get Chummy? Chummy came to me from somebody who no longer wanted him. I think they wanted him, but they just couldn't keep him. The son owned the lizard. He moved off to college. Mom and dad were moving out of country, couldn't take Chummy with. So nobody could take Chummy. And so they wanted him to have a good home. And I'm so glad that I was the fortunate person to get to take him in. He is missing a few toes. I think that's because he wasn't given enough humidity when he was younger. They shed, just like snakes, they shed a lot. They'll shed in chunks. As their little toes shed, you got to make sure that shed is not stopping the circulation of each of those toes, because then it acts like a tourniquet, and eventually the toe's blood flow stops, and the toe will actually fall off. So he's fine now, and he sheds just fine. He's got a lot of humidity in his enclosure, but I think that's what was going on. He did about a year ago have a little surgery because he had a little bit of what we call tail rot. We don't know how it happened, but he had a little either an injury or a blood vessel that caused an infection in his tail. And so my veterinarian performed surgery on him and took that right off. Not a big deal. It was laser surgery and it wasn't super big. If you would let that infection travel up the tail and not get it treated, then you're probably looking at some massive surgery. So certainly we wouldn't want to do that. We caught it when it was early and we got it done. All right, now you notice that tongue. He's smelling with his tongue just like our snakes smell with their tongues. Again, Jacobson's organ up in here, those tongues pick up scent molecules and then they shove those two ends up into the holes, and that's how they register scent. He can see. I don't think it's quite as good as our eyesight. When you feed him and he smells that food right away, he will come busting out of that cage for his food. But he kind of goes for whatever's movement, kind of like a snake. So eyesight not as good, but that sense of smell is phenomenal, way better than ours. All right, want to see some of my favorite stuff from Chummy? Okay. He loves his walkies. He also loves his tubbies. He also likes wandering the house. Now, here's the thing I've learned about letting your Tegu wander the house. You see, some people have their Tegus as apartment animals, kind of like a dog or a cat. They even have them litter box trained. But when you have a bigger house, not apartment size, they should always be watched and monitored when they're out. If you're anything like me, you're a mom, you've got a kid, you got a bunch of stuff going on, hard time keeping it all straight. The worst thing for you to be doing is giving your Tegu a bath on a Sunday night at about 8 o'clock when your son bursts into the bathroom and says, "Mom, I forgot, I've got homework due tomorrow." So you wrap your Tegu in a towel, put him on the back of the couch, dive into the homework with your child, get that done, send him to bed, and completely forget your Tegu's out. The next day, you notice that your Tegu is missing, a grate is open, and about 2 inches of tails hanging out of that grate. You go in to get him, he goes into the ducks further. But don't worry, because you know where he is. He's right in there. So what do? You got a Tegu trapped in the duct system. You can't offer a treat to get him out. He doesn't want to come out. He's not a dog. He doesn't want to come back to me. He's happy in the duct system. If he wanted to come out, sure, he could, but he didn't want to come out. So my husband, the lovely Chris Crone, who's a wonderful person, had to get him out. Now, if you know anything about my husband, he does not like lizards stuck in the duct system. I mean, who would? But most of the reptiles he could do without. So, needless to say, it was a long process. And I guess I'm happy to say that that's still on, just barely. I guess he loves me. Anyway, that's probably one of my favorite Tegu stories, or Chummy stories. I've got a lot others, maybe for another day, but I hope you enjoyed my lovely chummy bo bummy, gummy da dummy. Not a dummy, but we do love him. He's just not allowed in any more ducks. All right. See you guys next time, and keep loving nature. Love you guys.